Hello, and thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michelle Kane, and my wonderful co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. And we are so excited. We have a guest today. We always love guest podcasts. We are so happy to welcome Veleisa Burrell, a fellow PR practitioner. Hey, Veleisa, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
What?
We
We're
are so
great.
great and so happy to have you here with us. Oh my goodness.
Indeed.
You guys are in for a
Yes.
treat. One of the
You
smartest,
are, yeah.
baddest PR practitioners in the land
You're so
is
kind.
gracing our stage today, and we are delighted.
Now
I'm
with that
excited to be
intro,
here.
tell
I'm excited to be here. Karen, you and I have known each other for a number of years, and I appreciate the insights that you guys bring. So now I'm like, no pressure, but also like go out there and charm the world. So I'm ready. I'm ready.
absolutely. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like what brought you to
Yeah.
this point in your career, what you're up to currently.
All the waves back and forth, right? So what brought
Yeah,
me
right?
here? I know it's like almost 20 years in the PR comms game. I studied for this. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, and went to Southern Methodist University. So pony up for anybody that is listening and is an SMU alumni. Started off in travel and tourism on the media relations side, and across my career, I just kept picking up more integrated comm skills, social media, newsletters. I joke, I did podcasting before the podcasting that we know it, with some content creation with an association for meeting planners, and got to a point in my career that I decided I know what I really like and I'm good at, and I know the things that I would prefer not to do. So I launched a solo career in 2017. Started off working with entrepreneurs and other really smart people who did not know how to talk about and receive earned media for the work that they did. And I did that all the way up until late 2020. So after the pandemic began, I'd already started considering that I missed coworkers. You build a really great solo community, but when you're working with folks side by side, day by day, I was like, I kind of missed that. So I actually, at the big age of 35, went into agency life, and I joke that became like the battery in my back. I got so much more clear about the work that I wanted to do and the value that I brought to teams and to people that I manage and to clients. Took that back in house, and I think that's how I've ended up with this crisscross experience from in house to agency to executive at this point in my career. And I also just finished my first semester as an adjunct professor where I started. So that kind of brings in a whole nother layer to sit with students and see them go into their early career and the things that have influenced them compared to the things that influenced me almost 20 years ago. So yeah, a little bit of a journey, but I'm glad to be here.
I think that you're actually the perfect person to teach and mentor the next generation. And I love because sometimes people think solo and they think that you have to make a choice, like a forever
Mhm.
choice, and it's not. So I love that you're showing that you really can take charge of your career by going in and out of being a solo, and you're taking steps based on your interest, your experience, where you
Absolutely.
want to grow next, who you want to learn from, and choosing the environment that you want to work in a particular season, because
Yeah.
there may be seasons of our life where solo just really works for our
Yeah.
life. And other seasons, as you said, that you really want that connection and, the team building and the things that happen in the office in those in between the meetings, in between the
Yeah.
spaces. And so I think that that makes you so well positioned to counsel young people. And it's so exciting to hear like that whole journey laid out. Like I've known it and I've been around for, so much of it, but to hear you tell the story in that unified way just really delights me.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's just such a blessing to sit with the energy of early career professionals and hear what they're taking in and kind of reset my thinking. And I know we're going to talk about that more, but it really did help me come back to the feeling of excitement early in my career where I was like, it could be anything. And I still feel that way to a large
Yeah.
degree. I've never been the 5-year plan person. I'm like, it might change. I have to write it in pencil, not pen.
So, how true is that? And let's get into that. Like, how has starting to teach as an adjunct, how has that changed you and your perspective on the work?
Yeah. It it brought me back to what makes all of this come together. What inspired me to get into a career in communications? For me, I was always interested in the story. I was a big reader. I wanted to know why, like why things work, why people are interested in things, what's that emotional quality that comes up when you connect with something. And so that helped bring me into a career. I saw with the students a lot of the storytelling that they're receiving is online. And so they're seeing more of a visual and kind of the people telling the story as opposed to the text telling the story. And that can be just as powerful. So coming into the classroom and getting to know them, what's your background, what are you studying, what internships have you done, especially in a capstone class. So the class that I taught was toward the end of their time. I had, I think, all seniors actually. So this way, like they know what's expected of them, and not to brag on SMU students, but they're incredibly bright and incredibly driven. So they're not half-stepping coming in. Like they want to be excellent. So I let that inspire me, and again come back to, well, how can I help them start to think about what makes my point of view, right? Yes, I can be inspired by all the stories that I'm taking in, but I think what's a little bit different with students is they are influenced to a degree that I don't think that folks of my generation were. Like we took it in, but we didn't make it gospel. Um,
Mm.
so I want, and I still do, to help them think through, who am I? What are my values? What are the things that matter to me? What's the impact that I want to make? And I can be inspired by the storytelling. I can, bring that to my work, but ultimately I have to have a point of view.
Yeah, that makes
You
sense.
said two really powerful things. One, I think, is that the students want to be exceptional. There is this myth around the younger generation that they strive to a level of mediocrity, and that's just really
Mhm.
not true. I
Yeah.
think you're right. They want to be excellent. They want to make an impact. It's on us to help to pave the way for them and to support that dream and give them the tools that they need to achieve that, because we put them in situations where we sometimes set them up to fail in the workplace. So I'm glad that you brought that out. And then the part about, having online and looking at things in a different way, which we know there's a new study out that talks about how Gen Z doesn't view PR the same way. I
Mhm.
think that so often we, the older generation, criticize them for not looking at traditional media sources and not looking at things the way that we do. But when you said it, to me, what it brought to mind is this great responsibility that we have to be truth tellers
Yeah.
and to dispel mismal and disinformation.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
rather than us, pushing against the progress and how a generation learns and accesses information, I think it puts a greater responsibility on us to make sure that where they're going is protected, is truth, and that they
Mhm.
are able to discover facts. So our jobs just got infinitely more difficult and complex in this environment.
Mm.
It definitely adds a layer. One thing that I would come in and very much in I joke, I think I'm entering my auntie era. I'm fine with that. But I would come in and I would say, like, tell me what you guys are seeing. What are you watching? And it almost always came back to influencers.
Mm.
So they're very tied in, they're very interested. And for them, the way that media was a trusted source for those of us who are further along in their career, for them, influencers are a trusted source. I do think what's required of us in helping them, instead of pushing against that and saying, no, it has to be just this select group. Okay, if you're going to consider influencers, people who do not have a journalistic background but have a lot of opinions, which you value, which is the currency, right? You value their opinion. We have to help you have a healthy skepticism about things, right? And I think that's what they're bringing to a lot of traditional ways that we've come up and consider that, like, you don't question it. They bring a healthy dose of skepticism that can help us say, are these systems still serving the people that we have to reach? Because their generation, my niece and nephew, Gen Alpha, they are not us. And we can rail against it, we can push back against it, we can keep putting our heads in the sand and say, lamenting, but they're different. So I wanted to make it less of a here's me telling you exactly how things have to be, and more share with me what it is that you guys are seeing. What is of value to you? What helps build trust for you guys to move emotions, to change opinions, because that's the work, right? So we have to come back. We have a text. It's an ebook. This is me opening a page of the book. It was an ebook. We have the text, and we have to come back to that. We have to come back to the research, because we got, again, a lot of opinions, but the research has to stay.
Yeah.
But you can be inspired by their skepticism and say, the math isn't mapping. Well, why isn't the math mapping for you?
Yeah.
Because I have to understand that.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. And, along with that, and we see it in academia and in the corporate world, is that the absence of the freedom to fail, right? And how do you approach that both with your students and in your work? Because really, we should be able to fail at things. That's the only way we learn or maybe get to new breakthroughs.
Yeah. So I joke, I had a team member when I was at the agency, and she was curious and asking, like, how did you get to where you are? And I said, I got kicked in the teeth a lot. Like, I truly, I'm very much like, I've been fired twice. I could look back and be like, yeah, I can see where we got there. But that requires, I think, a couple of things. It requires a level of honesty about who you are and what you value and what are your strengths and where you need to grow. And there were a lot of places that I still needed to grow, and I didn't know it at the time, because you can't tell somebody in their 20s anything. But in hindsight, right, I was like, oh yeah, no, that absolutely was not going to be a place for me to grow, because I wasn't ready to receive whatever the lesson was, or it wasn't an environment and I didn't know how to safely navigate out of it that was going to help me grow. So there just has to be a requirement to be open about who you are and open about the things that help you become the best version of you. And in order to be the best version of you, you're going to have, I was joking in preparing for this, I was like, I thought about that clip of the emperor penguins, and everybody's on the edge of the cliff. And everybody's like, we want to be great. We know what we need to do, but it just takes that one person to jump off.
Yeah.
And no, they're probably not going to tell you that, I belly flopped in the water below. All you're going to see is they're beautifully backstroking, right? But the reality is you're going to belly flop. You got to jump off the cliff. Otherwise, you're going to stay on the edge of it, and you can pretend, you can paint a pretty picture of what you are doing and call it success.
Yeah.
But you're never going to be off the cliff. You're going to be safe on this land instead of belly flopping and being like, ouch, that kind of hurt. That kind of hurt a little bit. But very few things in life are permanent. Very few things in life are permanent. And I have had my feelings hurt. I have been in the car on the drive home calling my mom, having pulled over because I can't see, because I am just upset. But nothing that has happened to me that has hurt my feelings or has felt like a failure or just been a true failure has ever been permanent. Life goes on. And I say this with full privilege of mental health resources. I say this with full privilege of I don't have a lot of anxiety. I say that with the privilege of I have a partner and a family that can support me. But very few things in life are so permanent that you can't say, okay, I got to sit with this. I'm going to have to sit with this for a little bit. It's going to hurt. My feelings are hurt. My pride is hurt.
Yeah.
But I can figure a way out of it, around it, above it.
Yeah.
This generation is also entering a very tricky job market where we require perfection to even get a job interview, let alone a job, which I think sometimes pressures people to miscommunicate what their capabilities truly are. So there's that balance between us being open to people who don't check all the boxes, but have potential to think, to learn, to do, who have the ethic and will fit in the company culture. And then once they're on the job, allowing those mistakes. How are you preparing your students for this really ugly situation that we're in these days?
Yeah, I think that's something I'd like to talk more with this next semester about. Just like, how do they feel about the job market? We didn't talk a lot about it, although I have seen some of them on LinkedIn post about their opportunities that they're moving into, and I'm excited that there are still early career opportunities out there, and they're finding them. I mean, there's so much power in the curiosity required to say, number one, I actually don't know the answer to that, and I'd love to learn it, and I'd love, and this requires a vulnerability, I'd love for you to be the one to help me understand it. And also, I'm going to put this rudely and then I'm going to put this kindly. Shutting up is free, meaning sit in the space of knowledge and take notes. Like just be open to what other people are sharing without needing to put yourself in there. And I get, you want to come in, you want to make an impact. I have thoughts, I have opinions, because again, that's what they're influenced by, is opinions. Is it rooted in fact? TBD. But there is power in saying, I'm just here to be in receipt. I'm here to let things be poured into me and sit with them and kind of turn them over and layer in my own understanding and ask questions and do the work and let my work be critiqued without taking it personally. Four Agreements, wonderful book. Don't take things personally. Top tier, honestly, top tier. And that's where you start to authentically have things that you can talk about, that you know, that you've done. I also, and this is a very boomer/millennial statement, and I made this note, in order to do deep work, in order to get in the space of growth and taking in things, you're going to have to remove things. And probably the first thing you need to remove is social media. Like, I go through periods, it was one of my favorite things to do. For the longest time, I did not have work email on my phone. And that was like, honestly, I made it my personality a little bit. This when I was at the agency, and I was like, I don't have email on my phone because I want boundaries of my
Oh
time.
my goodness.
And I am billing in 15-minute increments. When I go home, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
Yep. That's a huge step too, because how many of us, let me just check to make sure there's not, I mean, it tethers us to the work way more than it should.
Yeah. You know? And again, this goes to, what are your values?
Yes.
You're going to feel that pressure. I get it. But what are your values? You can't build your personality around work. You cannot build your personality. I'm going to say that third time. You cannot build your personality around work, because that job will let you go and you're going to be lost.
Yep.
Don't build your personality around this work.
Nope.
Stay curious, explore things that don't pay you. And honestly, sometimes just do things just to do things. I know do it for the content is a thing. Sometimes just do things and don't tell nobody. There's value in that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Your students are so lucky to have you.
They're so bright. I truly was just, I sometimes be like, yo, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's happening on campus. What's going on?
I love it. I'm
a cool professor, as I joke.
Of course. The coolest.
I want to address the bot in the room. Not the elephant in the room, but the bot in the room.
Is the AI in the room with us?
Yeah, AI. Yeah. AI is everywhere, unfortunately. So talk about how that's, how has AI changed the learning experience?
Yeah. So coming into the role that I moved into in 2020 with Fleischman, AI at the level that I was at, I wasn't really using it. I feel like it really started becoming the thing for me in my day-to-day that I was hearing about in my role with a restaurant brand, and more for my junior team. And so I had a manager, and then I had like a coordinator. And I remember saying to my manager, I want to understand more about how our team is using AI. So again, going in with curiosity, because I don't know enough to tell you don't use it, right? I want to know, tell me understand how you're using it. So I sat with the junior team member and he showed me, oh, you had a request for more information around, how company A is, doing whatever campaign. So I used, I want to say he used, oh my goodness, what's the main one that everybody uses? Just to show you my own opinions about how I use AI. Anyway, he used one of the more common ones, looked it up, showed me, and I was like, okay, that actually makes sense. I'm okay with how you're using it. And then going into the classroom, I was concerned, like in an academic
Sure.
environment, what are the rules, right? And the rules are basically you can let students use it or you cannot. But you, as a professor, you get to make the rules. Okay. Initially, I was kind of like, I feel like this is pretty straightforward. Like, this needs to be a strategic communication plan that comes from the research and your knowledge. The tactics are pretty straightforward. So I had, again, had a conversation. I said, I want to know, like, in quizzes and things like that, how are you guys using AI? And for them, they were using it to write a response, maybe a short answer response, put that into AI and kind of polish it, right? I was like, okay, well, number one, thank you for helping me understand that. Because again, I want to have the conversation without you feeling like there's a consequence. I truly want to understand how you guys are using it with this class. But when I sat back and thought about it, I was like, it's a pretty straightforward, simple text, right? You're breaking down a strategic communications plan, and we have this client. I didn't really see the need to use AI because, like, again, these are short answer responses. So it did make me think of like the pressure that they were putting on themselves to have like a very buttoned up, no notes response. And I'm like, there's always going to be notes.
Mm.
There's always going to be notes, right? There's always someone with a better insight or to ask an open-ended question to make you sit back and be like, well, have I explored something, right? So I see different iterations of it and I understand the why of its use. I would caveat, and I said this to the students, like, this is not going to replace critical thinking, right? Like, your critical thinking has to be the foundation of everything that you do. So if you aren't comfortable or don't feel like you have enough knowledge, AI isn't going to help you because AI is not net new knowledge. It's not you.
Right.
You are the foundation. You are the producer. So taking, and this is where like you kind of make the bridge too far, taking what you create and expecting AI to make it any better when it really maybe wasn't that rich or textured or informed to begin with, you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
Because that is a crutch. And I want you to do the work of the lifting, do the work of the reading, do the work of the interrogation. Come to me. Let this be a very classical educational experience of back and forth, not you to an AI tool.
Yeah.
And then you'll find that the polish is not required because you're good. You're good. You know it, right? And that's the confidence that comes with time. It's the confidence that comes with age, hopefully for most of us, to know, like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's so true. And critical thinking is essential
Hmm.
to all of us moving forward. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
And it's something, again, that AI can't replace.
Yeah.
So as long as critical thinking remains the foundation of good work, humans will be in the work. I will say I think I've leaned in to AI to a degree. And I had got the right conversations with the right people who explained how they were using it. I was like, okay, that actually makes sense. Ideation, right? Inspiration.
Yeah.
It's not the end tool.
No.
Let it be the beginning tool. If you think that it is the end, you're going to end up with some boo-boo product. But if you want to use it for thought starters, if you want to use it to lift up your thinking, absolutely, I get that. But again, don't let it be the crutch for critical thinking, or we're really going down a dark path.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's first learning to think, and then you can use it as a tool rather than a crutch, because it is a tool, and there's so many, time-saving ways that you can apply it. But before you can start down that path, you really have to know how to do the work on your own, and you have to know how to think through the work on your own, and then you can find smart applications for AI. So I think that that's a really good approach rather than saying no AI, which I've seen, some educators like no AI, which is no, we want to teach them the right ways to apply that, but we want to encourage them to think and use their brains and learn to do that first rather than relying on this tool. Because you're right, if they're just relying on it, it's going to be problematic down the road.
Yeah, exactly. We need them to know how to use it because it's not going away.
No,
So they
and
definitely know how to
again,
deal with that.
Yeah. I mean,
we
it
can't
would
be so
kind of
stuck in
like,
our ways and
yeah,
say no,
yeah,
because other people will figure out how to use it in the smart ways. While we're so like, no, I will put pen to paper. Sometimes you don't get me wrong. I love a good whiteboard moment. I have way too many notebooks in
same.
me,
Right.
but I still could see how if you're having a brainstorming session, or if you have a new client, or if you just want to get out of your own head, it could absolutely be a great partner, a great tool.
Yeah.
But you have to do smart. You have to do it smart.
Well, I mean, we would not stick a brand new driver in a self-driving car because what if it fails? You have
Right.
to know how to
I
actually
mean,
drive the car on your own. You have to be able to navigate it. You have to be able to monitor the self-driving and to ensure that it's not doing anything stupid because it's
you
not a
have to know
person.
the rules in order to make the tool work for you.
Yes.
Because truly, I
Right.
remember I listened to there was some commercial for an AI tool, and they were like, "It has fewer hallucinations," and I said, "Excuse me." I don't know how much I trust a tool that you have to reassure me doesn't have hallucinations. So that was part of my own skepticism on AI. Like, I'm good. I'm good. And I had to get past those reservations.
Oh
Yeah.
my
An interesting
goodness.
AI. I was
You,
like, I'm not building trust here. Yeah, sure.
well, I wasn't expecting that. What? Oh my goodness. Well, this has been an incredible time with you. We are so happy you've spent this time with us today. Oh my goodness. I always feel inspired and I feel so inspired after speaking with you for a bit. But where can people best find you online to follow you or
As
keep in touch?
online, LinkedIn, I have been lurking in those streets. I have created such an amazing timeline of content and thinkers, and I always welcome folks to reach out and connect, and we can share stories or talk about Bravo Universe. I always talk about Bravo Universe. It's my happy place.
Love it. Love it.
It's working for you because not only are you super smart, really impacting lives and impacting the next generation, but you always bring like a sense of calm. Like you definitely are not stressed. And Lord Jesus, I'm telling you, I needed you today. So thank you for that.
Oh no, thank you, thank you. You're both
For real
fantastic.
times
Thank you.
too. Oh, well, back at you, Veleisa. My
Yeah,
goodness. Well,
thank you so very much for
yes.
joining us here. I know I cannot wait to publish this episode and treat our
Yeah.
listeners to your insights. And I hope, I know that out in our audience, there are some other people that could be teaching and following in
Yeah.
Veleisa's footprints here and help, mentor the next generation. So I hope this inspires you to take that step as well.
Yeah. You all have something to offer, and that's a wonderful thing. That's part of what binds us together. And well, everyone out there, please do follow us on soloprpro.com. Hit us with your comments. Please share this around. You want to share this one around. Come on now. And until next time, thanks for joining us on That Solo Life.